footprint of the site, green roofs is a good one to kind of minimize it at source.
Exactly.
Okay, fine. And so there's only 2 credits you get with this chapter. It's an awful lot of effort for 2 credits, isn't it? But how do you get the other one?
The other by eliminating the pollution from the water runoff, which is actually the hydrocarbons, which are quite hazardous to the health of the civilians.
So in terms of if there's no pollution, if there's no liability of oil spillages or whatever, if there's no driveway, you only need 1 level of treatment, and if there is, you need 2.
If there is, you need 2, or if there isn't any hydrocarbons, the water can also be infiltrated.
Okay. So Caspar, in terms of these kind of levels of treatment, it sort of comes back to this management train thing as well, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of kind of treating polluted water on site, can you explain what those levels of treatment are and how good they are?
Well, I mean, again, treating water locally can be very effective. I mean, certainly, I mean, again, on farmland, for example, you know, treating water locally is highly practical because you actually have to have the space to do it. I think, again, coming back to the urban thing, I think that's quite problematic sometimes, simply because of the, I mean, infiltration is a problem because of hard surfaces. Treating water, I would argue that quite often treating large volumes of water off-site can be more effective because actually it's more efficient. It's not terribly efficient to have many treatment plants distributed. It's much more efficient to have one big one.
But I mean, each level of site, so as you say, do have a drive, then obviously you can have permeable paving, so the water can trickle its way through. Under the paving, you're going to have sand and gravel.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
So it's going to percolate through, and it will kind of filter out some of those hydrocarbons.
Yes.
The only problem is that there doesn't seem to be, I mean, in my reading of it, so maybe you can clarify this, is there any kind of, I hate to use the phrase, scientific justification of what a level of treatment means? If you have 2 inches of gravel and the water flows through at an X rate, or you have 10 feet of gravel and it flows through at a slower rate, I mean, are they both called a level of treatment? Is there any definition of that?
They are. It actually seems rather arbitrary in my reading of what's there. It isn't specified in scientific or engineering terms exactly what that level of treatment means, in terms of how much you would filter by, you know, how deep it would have to be, what you would actually effectively filter by introducing a certain...
In terms of the definition of an effective treatment, again, through swales, is there any kind of broader clarification about what treatment you get by passing water through a swale?
No, actually, well, it gets filtrated, so that improves the water quality, and then so the larger particles are being filtrated. So,
but you know what I mean. But obviously, Caspar's position is, throughout the course of this programme, has to be to empathise with sites, but constantly say that actually having a treatment plant off-site, at least you know what you're getting. Whereas this seems to
Well, also, it's easier to monitor. I mean, if you're treating water off-site, you can actually monitor the quality of the water that's coming from that treatment plant or whatever. If you've got water going through gravel and then going into the groundwater, you've got fewer opportunities to actually monitor the water quality.
Right. Okay. Well, look, those are the technicalities. That's how you get your points. As a code assessor, Costa, what do you do? How do you go about assessing people's compliance?
Well, first of all, we need a qualified professional, like an engineer, who will provide us with the reports and the information. For example, the reports of the design, where during the design stage we can see all the calculations or the drawings that he has prepared for the drainage system, and all the previous site plans, a flood risk assessment that needs to be obtained and assessed, and also the professional, qualified professional, is to reassure us that even if the flood system, the drainage system fails, there won't be an increased risk of flooding in the dwellings, either on-site or locally to the site.